If you ever work with user authentication or APIs, you probably heard of JSON Web Tokens or JWTs. They are everywhere, but so are the myths about them. Let's break down 5 of the most common myths about JWTs and find out which ones may be putting your application at risk. Myth number 1. A JWT is just another name for a token. This is a huge misconception. So while a JWT is a type of token, not all the tokens are JWTs. Think of it like this. A car is a type of vehicle, but not all vehicles are cars. A token is a piece of data, and it represents a fact, usually an authorization grant. Historically, many of these tokens have been opaque strings, meaning it's a random, meaningless string from the client's perspective. It acts as a reference, kind of like a ticket stub. To get any information from an opaque token, the receiving server must make a call back to the issuing server. Here's an example of an opaque token. In contrast, a JSON Web Token, or JWT, is a structured token. As defined in RFC 759, a JWT is a compact, URL-safe way of representing claims to be transferred between two parties. It's not opaque, it's a self-contained JSON object that is digitally signed or encrypted. Because it is self-contained, a service that trusts the issuer can validate a JWT and use its claims without needing to contact the issuer. This is the core benefit of JWTs, stateless, decentralized validation. Myth number 2, JWT and access tokens are interchangeable terms. This one trips up developers a lot, so don't worry if this has happened to you. In OAuth 2.0 terms, an access token is a credential used by a client to access protected resources. The important detail is that the OAuth 2.0 specification does not mandate a specific format for access tokens. They can be opaque tokens or they could be JWTs. So why the confusion? Well, that's because JWTs have become a very popular format for access tokens, and there are a couple reasons why that happened. A resource server like a web API can validate a JWT-based access token without calling the authorization server on every request. Instead, it just needs the issuer's public key to check the signature. The token itself can carry essential data such as the user ID and permissions, scopes, reducing the need for extra database lookups. The key takeaway here is that JWT is a format while an access token is about function. It can be a JWT, but it doesn't have to be a JWT. Myth number 3, JWTs are vulnerable because their payload is readable. A common reaction when some people first see a JWT is panic. I can decode this? The data is exposed. JWTs are insecure. That's because you can easily decode the payload and read its contents. A standard JWT is normally signed. Its payload is base64 encoded, not encrypted. You can easily paste the payload into any base64 decoder and read its contents. This visibility, though, is by design. The purpose of a JWT signature is not confidentiality. It's integrity and authenticity. The signature guarantees that the data hasn't been tampered with and that the token was created by a party that you trust. Because of this, you should never put sensitive data that needs to be confidential inside of a JWT's payload. If you need confidentiality, you must use JSON Web Encryption, or JWE, which encrypts the payload. And if you have a JWT and you want to decode it yourself, you can go to jwt.io and try that out. Myth number 4, a signature makes a JWT inherently secure. This is a dangerous oversimplification. A signature is the most critical part of a JWT, but it's only as strong as the processes around it. For the JWT to be truly secure, here are some things that you must do. Always use strong signing algorithms like RS-256 or ES-256. Your validation library must prevent the none-algorithm attack, where the attacker strips the signature and then changes the alg header to none. You must also validate all the relevant claims. A valid signature only proves that the token hasn't been modified. It doesn't mean that the token is still usable. You must always validate the standard claims. EXP is the token expired. NBF is the token being used before it's valid. ISS was a token issued by an authority you trust. AUD was this token intended for your service, the audience. You must also protect your signing keys. If an attacker steals your symmetric secret from the HS256 algorithm or your private key from the RS256 algorithm, they can forge valid tokens for any user. Key management is paramount. And the last thing I'm gonna bring up is transmit securely. Always transmit your JWTs over a secure channel like HTTPS to prevent man-in-the-middle attacks from stealing the token when it's in transit. Keep in mind, a signature doesn't protect token theft from a cross-scripting attack or compromised client devices. It's one piece of a larger security puzzle. And finally, myth number 5. JWTs are modern replacements for sessions. This is probably the most debated myth that people go back and forth on. Many tutorials frame JWT as the modern solution that replaces old-fashioned server-side sessions. Traditional server-side sessions store session data on the server and give the client a simple opaque ID, usually in an HTTP-only cookie. JWTs, when used for sessions, move the state to the client side inside the token. This stateless approach has a major drawback for user sessions. Revocation is extremely difficult. You can't easily log a user out because a token remains valid until its expiration time. If a token is stolen, it can be used by an attacker until it expires. While workarounds like blocklisting exist, they reintroduce server-side state, which then defeats the purpose of using JWTs for statelessness in the first place. At that point, you just went ahead and built a more complicated version of traditional sessions. JWTs are best for short-lived transactional scenarios where statelessness is a key driver. For managing user login state, the ability to centrally manage and instantly revoke sessions often makes the old-fashioned server-side session model a safer and simpler choice. Alright, that's 5 common JWT myths debunked. I hope this video gives you a better understanding of how to use JWT securely. And if you know of any other myths that we didn't cover in this video, let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.